Welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by the Marita Minutes. I just want to go over the recap of Love and Marriage Huntsville Reunion. This is season 9. This is part 1. And I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I wanted to talk about the shenanigans going on in just this first part of the reunion. It was a lot going on. But before I get into the whole messiness of this first part, let's take a look at the fashions first. Okay, so when we first come on, Carlos is standing there. He didn't look bad. Usually his suits fit a little tighter, they're a little more tailored, but this was okay. This was a nice suit. I liked how I had like a little belt. You can't really see it now in this shot because his arms are covering, but it had like a little belt that kind of like was on the side of the jacket. It was cute. I mean, the way it was made. So he didn't do bad. Okay. But the first ones out was Kimmy and Maurice. They both have on the blue. I don't know if I like this on Kimmy. I mean, I didn't really like the dress. It didn't do anything for her. It made her look straight up and down. And Kimmy has a nice body. So I didn't think that this dress did her justice. It wasn't probably anything wrong with the dress, but it wasn't for her. And maybe it was the material because somebody said it was velvet, velour. I don't know what it was, but I didn't like it. And then, of course, Maurice was in a plain blue suit. He looked like he was going to court. Wasn't nothing fancy about that. Then we have the seasoned couple, right? I liked the color. I think Miss Nell's dress had a little bit too much going on, but I mean, I guess the theme was glitz and glamour or something because all of the dresses were glittery and shiny and sparkly. And I don't know what Fletcher got on his lapel. I guess they beads and pearls on his. That's a bit much, but anyway, I guess they were twinning, right? I guess they were coordinated. And that's fine. I did like the color of the dress. But, it was okay. It was all right. It wasn't my favorite. Actually, no, it wasn't my favorite on here. It was up there, I guess. Maybe it might have been number 2. Then we have Tisha and Marceau. Now, Tisha's dress, where this picture doesn't do it justice, it was very pretty on camera. When I was watching the show and it got up close to it or whatever, it was very pretty. I kind of say that she kind of like won this one this season. Usually Mel shuts it down, but I am feeling Tisha's dress. If I had to pick a dress, it would be Tisha's dress. I don't know if I picked that color. Maybe she should have wore it blue and he should have wore the white suit because most of the men had on white suits. Well, I don't know. Him and Maurice usually have on the same colors. But anyway, and then his jacket, it had some print on it. I know it has a print on the lapel. Can't see it in this picture, but his blazer was fine. I mean, it was more dressier than he normally wears, but these two look good. They did. They complemented each other well. So then next comes out Martel in his tight ass suit. This is the same rendition of suit he had on at Nell and Fletcher's vow renewal, except I think that one was blue. And it looked more like a priest up by the collar. But because this is a white suit, can't really tell that it's still got a priest collar. But this suit is tailored really nice. I think he said that the pants were too tight. Because when he went to go sit down, he couldn't. Look how tight his pants are, y'all. That's ridiculous. Like, why? Why? Anyway. Next out was Destiny. She looked like she was going to do a scene from Mae West. It's not you know how Penny used to do it a good time? It's not the something in my mint. It's not the money in the mint. It's the mint for the money. Something like she used to say all the time. But anyway, that's what this reminded me of. And she said it was damaged. I guess they fixed it. I don't know. But was this okay? I guess she looked okay in red, but I didn't like the blonde hair. I like her better in darker hair. But it was okay. I wasn't in love with it. Then when of course when she got up to Carlos, her earring came off and he put it back in her ear. He was like, "You're losing your earrings like you lose your men." And I thought that was cold. But then she said, "Yeah, but just like you putting them back in my ear, they always come back." And I'm thinking to myself, well, which one came back? Because LeBaric is running down to the police department trying to figure out how he can get you locked up 100 ways from Sunday. And Moses married somebody else. And right now he's incarcerated. So he ain't going nowhere right at this moment. Unless he's calling you from jail, which is a possibility because you know how they get when they get in jail. They get that incarcerated mentality and all of a sudden you the woman of his dreams. I'm just saying, I don't know. Anywho, ain't nobody back. So I don't know where she was going with that. That fell flat. So then last but not least, here comes Melody. And I didn't particularly like the dress on TV. It didn't give what it gave in the photos. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. It looked like it fits better in the photo. Because it's like her boobs are saggy here, but they're not here. And it's more of an hourglass shape. So were these photoshopped? Do you think this picture was photoshopped? Because look at this and then look at this. Like, it might have been photoshopped, y'all. I ain't trying to call her out or whatever, but the picture looked nice. I didn't like her. I didn't like the dress. I usually like Melody's fashions, hands down. She usually blows everybody away. But this particular season, I mean, maybe it was her whole attitude about the show in general, and maybe it showed in what she picked to wear. Because I felt like this dress was more for a seasoned person. My opinion. I didn't really, I felt like the blue dress that she wore to go get her award, that's what she should have wore. And that would, I mean, she could have put some glitter on that, glitz and glamour on the sheer part or whatever. It would have ate. And she would have been the one. I'm just saying. I feel like she picked the wrong blue dress for that. But anywho. So Melody comes out. They're all sitting around. So Carlos comes up and says, he always starts with Kimmy and wants to know how Kimmy is feeling and what does she think about, the show. And I think they always go over how many seasons it's been. And Carlos said it feels like a different energy on the stage. I don't know what it is. And Kimmy basically said, "Well, I think we're all, used to this by now. We've been doing this a couple times, so it's like kind of routine almost." She didn't say it like that. I'm paraphrasing, but basically like they're all comfortable within their own selves, and this is like just part of the job, Carlos. Just part of the job. So at this moment, Carlos starts playing a montage. So they go back to is that season 1? They go back to season 1. They show when Melody, look at look at Martel, man. He had to laugh his dang on self. And they show, look at Tisha. Tisha look like her daughters right there. But the difference I see in Tisha now and back then, Tisha exudes a lot of confidence. She's come a long way. And she's gorgeous. I mean, she was always pretty, but she has enhanced that. And I think Martel sees it. She's had to step it up because Marceau I believe he was doing his thing, in my opinion. But, you know, anyway. And this is Mel talking about how she filed for divorce. Martel made this kind of like crazy looking funny face. And then she goes into her reclaiming her independence as she's reading from the courts of her actually going, now she's Melody Cherie. She took back her name. And then they show this confessional of Martel just basically saying, we should have had more conversations before we just gave up. And I think this is his, like, just him regretting that he screwed up royally. But he's never not admitted that he did not screw up. He's never not admitted that. So it's always been in the back of his head. And I guess that's why he messes with her all the time. She's never going to get rid of him because she the one that got away. And he loves the fact that they have kids together. He loves the fact that they have small kids together because he's always going to be in her life regardless. It's going to be hard for her to even have somebody, for her to even have a relationship around her kids. Even though he has one, because he has a whole nother baby and a whole nother family, Mel's not going to never have any peace. And she's got birthdays and graduations and grandchildren. He's always going to be around. Ugh. Anyway, sorry, Mel. So then Carlos turns to Marceau. I can't get these M's together. Then Carlos turns to Martel and says, "Did seeing that play out, those scenes from the past, make you sad?" And Martel said, "Yeah, of course it did make me sad. However, when he turned and asked Melody, Melody said, no, where I could have looked at some of those scenes and thought about being sad, she said, I looked at the victory and in reclaiming my independence." And Martel made this funny looking face again. Martel said, well, I'm in a good place with her. Tell me, Martel, how are you in a good place with Melody and she don't even talk to you? I know you claim that y'all talk off camera outside of work, and I guess when it involves the kids, but I was under the impression that she don't speak to you because there was an order put in place. She can't talk to you. I don't know why he's trying to come across like they're talking. I think he's trying to make it seem like she's violated the order, or maybe, I don't know. Anyway, talk about delusional. So then Carlos looks at Martel and says, is it hard for you to watch Tisha and Marceau thrive as a power couple? Wait a minute, hold on. First of all, Tisha and Marceau are not a power couple. I'm sorry. Marceau doesn't want that for them. He said it 2 seasons ago. He said that he wanted his wife at home with the kids. He didn't want her to be a super mom. He didn't want her to be anything like Mel because he saw how Martel and Melody went up in flames as being this super couple. Even though that had nothing to do with them going up in flames, it was the fact that Martel couldn't keep his private parts to himself and just to his wife. That's why they blew up, Marceau. Okay, just to be clear. But I'm assuming he said that because Melody was this superwoman, bringing home the bacon, frying up in the pan, and all that kind of stuff, that it neglected the household. Like she was tired, and that's why Martel went outside the home. And it looks like he's blaming Mel for the fact of the reason why they're no longer together. And he doesn't want that for him and Tisha. And so they're not a power couple in my eyes, in my opinion, but tell me what y'all think down in the comments. So Martel said, well, I've always wanted the best for them. So Carlos turns to Tisha and Marceau and says, how does it feel for you to know that Martel is rooting for you guys? And Martel pops up and says, wait a minute, hold up. No. I'm not rooting for them, but I'm not rooting against them. And Carlos said, like, yeah, okay, I know I'm the only one up here that don't really have a college degree. We said, but I don't want this, you know. He said, no, I am not rooting for them. I'm not their cheerleader, but I'm not rooting against them either. So Kimmy pipes up and says, well, why wouldn't anyone on this stage root for one another? And Martel says, because all the things we done gone through and, certain things he done said and did and, dealing with all the phoniness and the fakeness. He says, no, I ain't rooting for no one. So Tisha pipes up and basically says, Martel has a mirror in front of him because everything he's saying to us, he did to us. Sending stuff to bloggers. He said that he, talking bad about our marriage. He talking, feeding stuff to different people, feeding stuff to Melody, feeding stuff to his baby mama. He was like, huh? What? I don't even know any bloggers. I don't even know any bloggers. Martel, stop lying, because all you do is stay connected to Tasha K. But that's another story for another time. He said, I don't even know any bloggers. He said, I'm not the one that did anything. He said, you know which one did it. He said, this Melody. She's sitting right there. She said, you just scared of Melody. And Tisha said, I'm not afraid of anybody, but I know it was you. You did that. You fed the bloggers. You fed Melody and your other baby mama. You did that. And she didn't. She stood her ground. Her thing was, you did that stuff, Martel. So Carlos looks over to Marcel and says, do you think Martel is jealous of you? And Marcel said, well, I would have thought that originally, but he's always saying, the Scots want to be like us. The Scots want to be like us. So Carlos then asked Martel, he said, are you harboring feelings against Marcel? And Martel said, yeah. I always told him to stop talking about my infidelity. Martel goes on podcast interviews and starts talking about me or whatever. And Marcel kind of like interrupted and said, well, when I realized how that was affecting, he said, I stopped talking about him. I didn't realize it bothered him like that. So he said, but I stopped. He said, but I lost respect for Martel when he threatened to post a video of his ex-wife in an intimate moment. And then Martel pops up, what are you talking about? What video? Where's video? What video? Girl. What video? Stop speaking on stuff you don't know about. And then Marceau goes on to say that, what kind of man would I be to be friends with someone like that? He said, I have daughters. And I was like, the same man that ran off to Africa by himself and left his family home with them same two daughters. That's the type of man you are. Just saying. I'm sorry, I wasn't there. So Martel was going, he said, what video? What video? Well, no video. I didn't do that. There was no video. So Melody says, pipes up and says, she wasn't going to just sit there and have someone push a narrative that did not happen. She said, Martel threatened to post a video of me. He sent a text and sent me a snapshot of the pic of the video. And she says, we've already gone over this. He's already admitted to this to a blogger. She said, I don't even know why we're talking about this right now. She said, but this isn't the first time that Martel threatened to do something like this, but it's the first time I took action. Mel says she remembered making the video. And she said it was during the time when Derek, LeBerick, and Destiny were getting married. She said because she remembered where they were. Carlos said, well, you did get arrested. And he said, yeah, but it wasn't for anything related to a video. It was for harassment communications. He said, well, did you ever capture a screenshot and send it to her? He said, yeah, I did. And Carlos said, well, you do realize what you did was bad. Martel said, what was bad? What? No, it wasn't. What'd I do? He said, shoot, with all the stuff Mel did and all the stuff she doing now. He said, all that stuff she be doing right now. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're justifying the fact that you sent the screenshot is justification because of whatever you saying Mel is doing to you or whatever she's done to you. And that was your get back. Even though it didn't go anywhere, but you're saying that's what it's giving, that was your get back. To send her that or to get other people to post it as if she was with someone else. How horrible is that? How horrible is that? And you have kids by her. You have daughters yourself. How? Well, whatever Mel is doing to him, at least she's smart enough not to let her stuff get out. He's just sloppy. Ugh. And that's when Marceau popped up and says, yeah, and he tried to send it out to other people so they could, post it like it was her and another dude. So Carlos basically said, what happened? What's going on with the court case? He said, Mel said, well, he pled guilty. And Carlos stands up and said, why didn't you tell me you pleaded guilty? He said, did you plead guilty? Martel's still lying. He said, no. He said he had to plead guilty. He said no, but he said he had to plead guilty in order for the courts to throw it up to another court so he could appeal it. I'm not believing that. You need more people, Martel. Sorry, I'm not buying that. Now, anybody, once a judge reaches a verdict, can appeal. Case in point, Karen Huger. Karen Huger from the Real Housewives of Potomac was found guilty of a DUI. And what is she doing? She is appealing it. You don't have to plead guilty in order for that to happen. The judge can slap that on you and you can still appeal. You don't have to plead guilty. He pled guilty because he was guilty. Marcel's not bright. Marcel ain't no light. His light is either not on or it's really, really dim. I need somebody to come change this bulb because he is really, really dense sometimes. And it's going around in a circle and trying to act like nothing happened. This gaslighting is for the birds. Like, stop it, Martel. So then finally Carlos said, well, let's move on. He was like, yeah, good. Because he got tired of lying. My gosh. So then the tables turn to Kimmy and Maurice. And I guess let's talk about the DUI. He said, it's been said that you ran into a pole. And Maurice said, yeah, that's accurate. He said, well, tell me what happened. He said, well, the police suspected something and they arrested me. What? That's what all you gonna say? And I mean, I feel like this conversation with Kimmy, Carlos, and Maurice was so much deflecting. It's like Kimmy was put out front because she was trying to protect her husband. He looked foolish in answering Carlos's line of questioning, and she had to interject and put herself in there as if to say, we did leave separately in separate cars. And he said, well, when you went home, she said, what makes you think I went home? As if to say she went somewhere else. Girl, we already know what you did. Okay? You already talked what you said in the episode. We remember. You were laying in the bed and you realized he was not there at a certain time. So you got up out your bed and went to Credit One or whatever it is now. You all said it's not Credit One anymore. Whatever it is, you went down to your place of work to see if he was there, if he was working, and he was not there. So where was he between your pit stop and 12 o'clock noon the next day? When he asked Maurice that, he said, I was traveling. He said, was Kimmy the last woman you were with before you got arrested? He said, yeah. He said, were you by yourself? He said, I was traveling. So I don't know if that was just to say that he wasn't driving. So he can't say that he was driving if they were to play back the footages. Shout out to the footages. If they were to play back the footage, I don't know. But he was very vague and very, cryptic. And he was like, I was traveling. He said you were traveling from 4 in the morning to 12 noon the next day. And clearly he was somewhere, whether he was on the side of the road sleeping and then finally tried to get up and ran into the pole. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. But if you and Kimmy were both at the pit stop together, she would have known, I would assume she would have known what kind of condition you were in to not to be able to drive the rest of the way home. She would have been like, leave your car here and we can come get it in the morning if you all were together. But I have a tendency to think that he was somewhere that he wasn't supposed to be. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. And he looked foolish. So with him looking foolish and not being able to answer the questions, Kimmy was intervening and trying to make it seem like he said this line of questioning is bullshit and blah 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 blah. And she was really going in on, even trying to go in without being so obvious, on Carlos about the line of questioning, trying to allude that he was out with where he shouldn't belong. So then they brought up the whole lipstick thing, and Kimmy got offensive about that. Mel tried to explain it was the topic on social media, and and her thing was, I don't care what the topic of social media was. Your topic of social media was what you did to your ass or your botch job or whatever she was saying. But we weren't all sitting around talking about that. Okay, so you weren't talking about it. I'm gonna talk about what I want to talk about, and it was about the red lipstick that they were talking about on social media. Now, I want to say this. The blogger that pointed that out, and then there were other people that kind of saw what he saw, or that blogger saw. I'm sorry. Anyway, I already said she. Anyway, it was Kimmy and Maurice are familiar with that blogger. So I'm pretty sure they know where Melody got it from, because there's an ongoing case with them and that blogger, to my knowledge. I know it is with Black Titanic, but this particular blogger was in the whole circle with Black Titanic, and was another one that Maurice came after because he was going to sue them. So if he was listening to that blogger go in on him about the cancer and all that kind of stuff, he also saw that she was talking about that red lipstick too. So they seen it. They know who it is. And why they're playing stupid like Melody just grabbed this out the air is beyond me. So, not believing it. And, people kind of said Kimmy ate and got Mel together. No, she didn't. Mel came and told us that she told Kimmy, and before they even made a scene about talking about the lipstick, that production wanted her to talk about it. It was production putting her up in her EP bag, okay? And they wanted her to talk about it. So all of this is phony. All of this is phony. And Kimmy is embarrassed And she didn't want the line of questioning, because the line of questioning did feel a little interrogating. But she was taking up for her husband. And then Carlos finally said, well, do you think Maurice is cheating on you? And she said, no. She said, but I'm not going to be one to sit here and think that, he couldn't be. I'm not going to put nothing past nobody. And so I guess Maurice took offense to that, because he was like, yeah, and I wouldn't put nothing against Kimmy either, or something to that effect or whatever. And they kind of laughed. But that's how it went off. I don't know. Did y'all like this part one? It was okay. It kept it moving. It kept it interesting. But I can't stand the gaslighting, and I can't stand the deflection. And poor Mel, her facial expression almost the whole time was like, I can't wait for this to be over. I think she knew at that point she wasn't coming back no more. She must have already had it in her head, like, I'm gonna wait till the end of the year. Or maybe Sir Gucci and Akeisha maybe have, put some, gumption to just go ahead and do it as well. Maybe she's always been in the back of her mind, but when those two did it, she said, I'm going to. So tell me what y'all think. Tell me what y'all think about this episode. I can't wait till it's over. I don't know if I'm going to be watching next season. We'll have to see. I don't think it's going to go down the tubes right away, but if they don't come with some strong storylines and some entertainment, ain't nobody watching them. And that's my 2 cents. Before you exit the building, please like this video. And with that being said, everyone be blessed. Peace.